I do love when I message you and it's grabbing beers, plural. I was like,
Yes,
it's an
I always
hour.
will be.
He's
I
like,
always
bitch, I've got to grab multiple.
yes. Why wouldn't I? Come on, come on. I said it's got to be done properly. I've got three at the moment. I had four earlier. Well, I've been waiting for you.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. We went out.
Nah, it's all right. These things happen. These things happen. This is
Yeah,
an extra day. This is an extra day.
I know this is a bonus episode.
This is your bonus. Well, it's not a bonus episode. It's it's we're trying to jump ourselves into the future by a week,
Yeah,
and it takes a lot of effort.
this is the Jordan's moving house, so we can't record 1 week. So
We can't
he
record
was
one
he
week,
was
so
smart enough to try to get one moving forward. So I was like, yes, let's do that.
yes, I know. That's what I think. Oh, hang on, 1 second.
Oh, now it's just my time to entertain you. Let me
It's not much light, but we'll go with
entertain
that.
you.
But
Sorry,
anyway,
when you were gone, I thought I just had to entertain them. My apologies.
oh yeah, it's not. I'm sure that'll be lovely to hear on the recording.
Oh God, don't fuck it now.
Dorks down under. Anyway, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to season 2, episode 11.
Episode.
Episode. It is going to get to that stage where we go. Episode.
11, 12, 17, 22. Height,
Yes.
height. Blue 32.
Hi, let's go. But yes, so hello, welcome to episode 11. Thank you for joining us. This is Dorks Down Under. You can find us available on all good podcast apps. I forgot what I was going to say there for a second.
Yeah.
All good podcast apps, as well as you can watch our beautiful faces here on our YouTube channel. And now,
Everybody's
now
like, no.
we are going to discuss this week about comfort movies or comfort TV shows that we watch. However, I want to have a quick discussion about one thing.
Oh, it's going to end poorly.
Oh no, it doesn't end poorly for you.
Oh, that's all right then.
It's atrocious for me more than anything. So, as some of you may know, I do have a separate YouTube channel, which is Orcs Magic.
He's cheating on us. No.
Yes.
He did have it well before this, FYI, guys.
Yes,
So,
I've had it for like quite some time. But
it's older than me, that channel is. Even though Jordan's younger than me somehow.
Although being a Magic the Gathering content creator, I've had lots of privileges and lots of, I want to say, big thank you to Wizards of the Coast for offering me to come to events such as the early accesses, which allows me to play on MTG Arena a couple of days before it's actually released into the public. It used to be a week, and now it's like 2 days or 1 day. In this case. So the new set is coming out, which is March of the Machine.
Yes, I've got an event on Thursday the 20th.
Fine, great, fabulous, awesome.
When is it actually released? Is it
pre-release? Is next weekend.
Oh, that's what I thought. The one that you're moving.
So yeah, that's when I'm moving. Fine, these things happen. But I got an invitation to the early access event. So I was like, yes, awesome, great.
When's that?
And it's like, oh, it's on Thursday, this time on the X whatever PDT, and I was like, okay, what time's that for me? Turns out it's my exchange date. So next Friday, next Friday, it's on the entire day, and I'm like, are you kidding me? The one day of the week. Honestly, right? If it, it's never on a Saturday for me. It's always it used to always be on a Wednesday, and that was like a great day. Wednesday's a great day to do it for me in New Zealand. Obviously, it's a Tuesday for the rest of the world, or Tuesday-ish, for the rest of the world. But then they decided to push it forward a little bit, which is fine. But now the fact is, it lands on a Friday of all days to choose. Right? Bear in mind that's pre-release day, so it's actually the same day. I get to play early access, and I can go to a midnight pre-release if I wanted.
Yeah, it does seem a bit weird. That's one thing I've noticed is like, so we used to get access to the events prior to pre-release. Then it became the week in between pre-release and the other and the actual release date, which wasn't always bad because we would get the pre-release where you're like, yeah, but you'd also get some packs and stuff that people couldn't buy yet. So you're like, oh, that's okay then. But yeah, the same thing now. It's kind of like the pre-release Thursday, and they're like, can you get an article out Friday, Saturday, or during that week? And you're like, I can, but by that point, people have already played it. And if they're reading it on Friday, they've probably already gone to if they're that enthralled at what I think of it, they've already done it.
They've already done it, or they're going to it and they're not reading the article.
Yeah.
No. So I mean, luckily, I have an amazing wife. Let's just put it this way.
Amen to that,
Because
sister.
of course, I told my beautiful dear wife of the big problem, which was, why are they screwing me over? And she went, well, we're not doing anything that night. Why don't you do it in the evening for a couple of hours? And I was like, so, I have an amazing wife. I want to say a big shout out to all the geek wives out there who just put up with our shit.
Well, you know what's funny? So at ARC, speaking of geek wives, obviously ARC 2-day event, you go away for the entire weekend. So if you've got kids or whatever, it's a nightmare. But we actually give out a widow's raffle where they actually get like chocolates or movie tickets or something like that, just as a little thank you to be able to go, thank you for understanding that we're a bunch of geeks.
Oh, is this in relation to you now being TikTok famous? Because I found a TikTok of you.
Oh no, that was just in general. But I'm saying it was weird because obviously in the past I haven't really had that many girlfriends or long-term relationships that have normally affected things where because they're not married or they're not like we live together or whatever. Often it's just like, oh babe, I'm not going to be able to do anything this week, or how about I see you Friday and do that. So it was the first time I'd ever seen at a geek event that they actually give back to those wives that obviously.
To be fair, it is required. I mean, I'm about to say it's been a long time since I've done a magic event, because that would probably be my main one for the last few years. Where especially running off across the pond to come to your lovely country and play magic for a couple of days.
That was kind of fun.
It is. Oh no, I do enjoy doing it. It's good fun, especially as it allows me to have an actual weekend off, being a responsible adult. It's quite nice.
Didn't we have beers at breakfast?
We have beers at breakfast. But I've got, I get to just be an immature, childish man that I am. And it's fabulous.
Bring your wife on. I think she would be like. He does that a lot, even when he's not got weekends off. But yes,
I've got a feeling that when I go to Warhammer World back in the UK, I think Eddie's going to come and she's just going to make sure she holds down the fort, i.e. the table, because the food's on its way, while I quickly run to the store, to the shop.
Oh man, she's just going to be like, "Give me your credit card. Give me your credit card. Give me this."
She'll be like, "Right, here's your allowance. Enjoy."
I was picturing that where she's just like, "Okay, spend it wisely," and then you just run to the shop and just be like, "I want all the candy."
Oh, to be fair, honest to God, as I know, last episode we were discussing how much of a black hole that GW is now sucking me down again, and I've already picked out. I've picked out guaranteed one miniature I'm buying from Forge World, sort of thing, which is, of course, I need my chapter master for my Space Marine army, which is which is Vulcan. I need Vulcan for my Salamander's army.
Oh, okay. I actually like that one. That one looks cool.
I kind of need it. So and I've already found a couple of. I found a couple of things I want to buy you. I'm debating which one to get you.
But to get me? No, man, you don't get me anything.
Oh no, I know I don't. But I found a couple of things. I'm like, ooh, I want to get this for Dex.
Oh man, I want an Angry Marine chapter master, just a dude with two big fingers.
Oh my god! But anyway, it has been, yeah. So anyway, so that's been my annoyance of the week, which is fine. We had some good news on the house. The house has passed. Oh, sorry. The house has passed final inspection, providing a couple of photos are sent of a few little issues, which we knew about, sort of thing.
Okay.
And they're getting worked on. Like the tradies are in this weekend, and even though it's Easter weekend, so the tradies are in. This is how prioritized this job has become.
Yeah, I was going to say just to get it done. Like, to be fair though, like I mean, like if for example I worked in a trade, and it came to this point where you're just like, we can finish this weekend and just get it done, and then we don't have to worry about it again. Why wouldn't you?
It was one of those things. I was on tender hooks all day yesterday because, of course, he said, "Oh, I'll call you in the afternoon with the report." All right, no problems. So, I would say I was on edge. I was having one of them days anyway where I was swamped with work and everything else, and I was just like, right, okay. And then it got to 1 o'clock, and I'm like, Oh no, sorry, it was like 12 o'clock, and I was like, oh, okay, right. So any time from now. Now's the afternoon. It could be any time from now.
Oh,
And of
God.
course, I cracked on with work, and then I was like, right, grab some lunch quickly, go down, get Edward. Which stupid me forgot that it's Easter weekend. So I set
Forgot
up the.
Edward.
So,
I was like,
so
that's what
no,
I was
no, no,
waiting
no, no,
for.
no, no, no. I didn't forget Edward, but I forgot how bad Auckland Tracker is because the second there's any form of public holiday in this country, anyone who owns a batch is on the road.
Oh, that was
Because
actually,
they've got
yeah.
to justify owning it. They've got to justify owning it, and God, and of course I set off at the normal time. I didn't set off 10 minutes in advance, which I should have done. I should have remembered it was Easter weekend. Should have set off 10 minutes in advance, and of course I was in traffic from the worst bits all the way to where you normally get the traffic log,
Mm.
and I'm like, oh, and then I got to like halfway through, and I thought, it's nearly 10 past 2. I'm gonna have to ring the school and say, please, can you keep Edward at the office? And literally, I did. And I was on the phone. I said, I'm really sorry. Can you? It's Edward Halligan. Blah 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 blah. X, Y, and Z. Give him all the details. And they said, right, no worries. Yeah, well, he'll be at the office. How long will you be? And I said, I've not passed Papakura yet. So
God.
I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be there at 3 o'clock. I'm reckoning it's about 10 minutes. I said, I think I've been delayed by about 20 minutes. And then, all right, no worries. I got there 1 minute before 3. I was
See?
so.
You got it, mate.
I was like, yes. I mean, I maybe had sprinted to make sure I was there that 1 minute in advance. But
Well, that's the weirdest thing about here. Here, everything closes. Like Good Friday, almost everything closes, other than a few cafes, which I think over the years they've kind of learnt. Well, there's literally nothing open, so some of the cafes and takeaway shops open up. But like, it's a ghost town, man. But then the funny thing is, then they complain that they have to open on public holidays. I was like, you don't have to. You choose to.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's like today. Like as you've just popped out, we popped out for lunch, and of course, Ellie's like, "Well, should we go to Maritai or should we go to Mission Bay?" And I said, "Well, let's go to Mission Bay." She went, "Why?" And I went, "One, there's more cafes and restaurants, so therefore there will be options for food." And she went, "And what's wrong with Maritai?" I went, "There's one fish and chip shop and 2 cafes.
The fish and
If
chip
they've
shop
all
will be
decided-
open.
No, yeah, but
Because
the
Good Friday, mate. You're meant to eat fish and
Yeah.
chips. It's the last day of Lent. You're meant to eat
Yeah,
fish and chips. Otherwise, you're going to hell.
I know. However, I would rather play the odds.
Oh, yeah, to
I'd
be
rather
fair, I
go
would
to
have
a
too.
spot that has most places, and I'm guaranteed that one spot will be open for lunch. Because bear in mind, I'd had a banana for breakfast. I was angry at this point.
Well, at this
I
point,
wanted to
this is
play
all I've
the
had
odds.
because none of the cafes in Williamstown were open. The only one that was a cake shop, and they literally only served cake. And I'm like, nah.
Yeah. Well, no, we ended up. So yeah, we ended up going to Mission Bay, and we tried a new spot because that's one thing we try to do is we always try to have a new spot unless we're booked somewhere. And we went to the Seafood Collective, and
Ooh,
we had
darling. That sounds
Ellie,
fancy.
Ellie had the market. Oh no, well it was like it's like you could either sit in and eat, or it's very much an upscale fish and chip shop.
Yeah.
I would say it's very much an upscale fish and chip shop, and and Ellie had she had fish and chips. Eddie had nuggies and chips because he wanted bao buns, and they said they couldn't do bao buns because it was shocker that day, and he was today. And I ended up having crispy prawn tacos,
Oh, nice.
which because I've been to the gym this morning and I was like, you know what, I want some protein, and I was really, really resisting ordering like some of their burgers because their burgers look good. And I thought that's carbs, and I was like, ooh, tacos works. I'll have tacos, and they were delicious. It was delicious, even though it's deep fried prawns, and I was like, it's worth it.
That's one thing that I tell people. I'm like, tacos are the easiest thing. Like, yeah, it still has that little bit of carbs in the bread, but often if you get it, you can get a corn tortilla, which makes it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then you just put a whole heap of fresh stuff in it with a protein.
Oh yeah, no, I tell you what, the slaw was lovely, and everything in it was delicious. Even Ellie said that mine tasted really fresh and good. I mean, hers was lovely. I mean, she had the market fish and chips, and it was good. It was a nice portion size. I could imagine if I had ate it, I would have gone, where's the rest of my fish?
Yeah.
Because I would have wanted more fish. but that's me being
No,
me.
she's like, they just bring out this fucking whole snapper and she's like, where's the fish?
You see, I'm at that stage right now, right? So the other bit of good news I had this week is that I dropped under 20 kilos. So I'm under,
I was
I've
going to say
dropped 20 now.
you look slightly bigger than 20 kilos in total. Just
Well, that's it,
you mean you've
I
lost
am, I'm
you
still,
mean you've lost 20 kilos. I
I've
hope.
lost 20 kilos. I'm still wearing all my massive t-shirts because,
That's right. Because when you said I'm under 20 kilos, I was like, I'm gonna go
yes,
on out on a limb here and be like, I'm pretty sure you weigh more than 20 kilos. Edward
yes, I
weighs
definitely
more than
weigh more
20
than 20.
kilos.
Oh, he does, trust me. But yeah, so I've lost 20 kilos since I started doing all my weight loss journey, which is
That's
great.
exciting.
Which is good. Then and I went to the gym this morning, and because I'm like, it doesn't matter if it's Good Friday, I still need to make sure I'm getting my sessions in.
Yeah.
I did it. Hated every minute of it because all I was like, I want chocolate, I want this, I
Yeah.
want that. I want all the bad stuff, I want all the bad stuff. But yeah,
See, I find I don't miss it as much. Like we've had like at work they have like hot cross buns they bring out. They've been testing all these like carrot cakes and these cakes for Mother's Day, and I'm just look at them and I'm like, nah.
I tell you what, we had there was a at work this week. One of our suppliers or repair, I don't exactly know the thing, but basically they sent a massive cake in to get cut up and shared around. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna have a cake. I'm not gonna have any of the cake. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be that guy
And
in
then
the
and then
office.
yeah, and then everyone
You know,
leaves, and he's just like,
and my boss,
just a
my
box.
boss, my boss walked past the desk and said, "Have you had some of the cake yet?" I said, "Oh, I might do later." As in a fob off. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, not right now. I'm busy. And he went, "Well, don't." And I went, "Oh, why? Is it bad?" He went, "Oh no." He says, "Honest to God, I've had a slice and I feel like I've had 8 espressos. I am buzzing."
Oh wow, really?
And of course, I was getting towards the end of my shift, and I was like, I just walked by, and there was a few slices left, really small slices. I was like, ooh, perfect, tiny slice, not too bad. Rather than having a chunk, I was like,
He
bit
says
of an
that.
edge. I was happy, so I picked it up and had one bite, and literally, I could feel the sugar
Oh
travel
really?
through it. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I find that sometimes. Like sometimes if I have something with a little bit too much sugar in it, since it's been going plant based, I'm like,
Mm.
damn son.
It,
Like the other day they put sugar in my coffee, and I was like, what is this? Like this is
it
horrible.
is it's amazing how you don't because I mean don't get me wrong, it's not like I've been a super good boy. I'm still having chocolate.
Yeah.
I just don't have the vast quantities of chocolate I used to do. So I think now when my body
I
suddenly
weigh it
gets
in
to the
grams,
point,
not kilos anymore.
now that oh yeah, honest to God, I could smash through one of those big bars if you were
Jesus
given an option.
Christ.
But it's like now, like suddenly having like this cake, which obviously it was this chocolate mousse cake. It was lovely,
Mm.
and they had this like white sugar frosting outside. So it is sugar, sugar. It is pure sugar. This cake,
Yeah.
and literally I bit into it, and literally I could just feel it traveling. I was like, I was just, and literally, thank God I hadn't gone to the gym because I'm pretty sure I would have stacked every single weight I could onto a barbell and just.
They're just like, Jordan, can somebody else have a weight? I need more weight. Just get
No.
on the bar. Yeah.
But literally, I was buzzing. I was buzzing for about 30 minutes. I understand what my boss was saying. He says, I feel like I've had 8
Yeah.
espressos. It's like, I can imagine. But yeah, so anyway, right. So that's enough from me. Is there
Wow.
anything from you before we move on to our topic?
No. So the reason why I actually picked today's topic is because obviously I think it was last episode we spoke about watching Avatar that had just come out or just been released on Disney and the Tetris movie and stuff. And then unfortunately my grandmother, who was in palliative care, then got out after 2 weeks and went to a nursing home, has since had, I think, 6 strokes now, mini strokes since Saturday.
Oh,
She's still all right. She just had a couple of strokes, like to the point supposedly the
just a
first
couple. Just a smidge.
the one she had one Saturday night and 2 Sunday, and it was only that somebody was in her room when she had the second one on Sunday that they noticed because she was trying to hide it because she knew that if she could last there till Friday, she would get to go home and wouldn't be stuck at the thingo because she wants to just go home, and
Yeah.
so she literally hid 2 mini strokes from the nurses so that they wouldn't know, so that she'd still get to go home on Saturday. So obviously it's been a little bit of a stressful week. So I found myself just watching movies that just brought me comfort. That's why when Jordan's like, oh, are we still going to talk about Avatar? I was like, haven't seen it. What about Tetris? Yeah, haven't seen it. And I'm like, I pretty much just watch comfort movies. And then I kind of was thinking, does everybody have these kind of comfort movies or comfort TV series that they just go back to, or they watch like once or twice a year, or when they're not feeling well, they just go back because it's like seeing an old friend.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my idea behind it, pretty much.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? Because rather than me talking about the movies from my perspective, and Des hasn't seen it yet.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, because I will tell you now, I watched the Tetris movie yesterday, and it was good.
Is it?
Is it amazing? No, but it's a good movie because obviously I am assuming there's a slight embellishment because obviously it's Hollywood.
A few people have said that it's very like the way it's done is very American in certain aspects, where there were things that weren't 100% accurate, but they've kind of made them more American. Like remember,
I could see that being a thing.
Like, do you remember Pearl Harbor, that horrible film with, I think it was Ben Affleck and and that Hartfield or whatever his name was?
Oh, what was his name?
But
Josh,
yeah, did you know
Josh
this?
something.
Yeah, Josh Hart something or something. You know, there's like 13 different versions of that. So the ones that were showed in Asia didn't have so the ones in America and I think the UK and stuff had America winning. The ones in Europe had obviously that it didn't happen that way. The ones in Japan have a different ending because obviously they won. But in the American version, America wins. But if you actually go in, you can actually watch it, and in different bits, the ending changes based on the country and based on their knowledge, because they're going to know that America didn't win that. Let's go back and change it. And I was like, why not just make it accurate? It's America. It's okay to lose. Like, let's put it this way. You do it in schools every week.
No. History is written by the winners, Des, and you know this.
But they lost. That's the problem.
Yes, I know, but that's the problem. But America can't stand losing. They don't like losing at all in any way, shape, or form. We already know this.
So yeah, so that's why I was like, okay, cool, whatever. But yeah, I have heard about that, and it is something I do want to watch eventually. But yeah, I have heard it's very American in certain elements where all of a sudden the American person was the one that did it rather than whoever else it was. You know.
He was Dutch. He was born. No, he was Dutch. Lived in America, and then was living in Japan at the time. It's really complex and weird. But I have to say, it was a good movie. It was a decent one to. I could watch it because obviously, you're talking about. I mean, no, we're not gonna. Let's not discuss it. I want you to watch it first, and then we'll get into it. So anyway, comfort movies. Go on, Des. You fire off comfort movies.
Okay, right. So I kind of have a comfort movie and two, maybe I would say three comfort series. And if I was to call one of my old housemates, Megs, who I lived with in London or met in London, she would be able to tell exactly what it is because she used to hate it. Because if I was home alone or something, or if I had some bad times during that time when I lived with her in Yarraville, I watched a lot of this, and it was Viva La Bam with Bam Margera.
Love Viva. I loved Viva La Bam.
I've got it on my computer. I've got it on my computer.
Right, okay. This is when MTV deviated away from being music television.
Yeah, very much so. But it was one of those series that because I used to skateboard, because I used to be quite rebellious, I used to love, like, at school, I was very much that if there was a plan that needed to be made to cause mischief, I was doing it, which included us at one stage grabbing all the locks from the actual school. So we got in there an hour and a half early. We stole the key from my dad's friend, who was a cleaner, who had the master key to all the lockers. So what you could actually do is you could undo the locks on the back, but they're all the turny ones, threw them all in a box, juggled them around, and then just put everybody's lock back on at random, which meant that it's went about a period and a half, 2 periods, everyone going around trying to do their lock. And then obviously when they found it, they had to wait, and then everybody went around. So it took about 2.5 hours. A little bit longer than I had planned originally, but I thought it was quite funny. But I was the kind of person that would do that, or I'd be standing next to the teacher, all these things would happen and break, and then all of a sudden and they'd be like, Derek, and I'm like, I'm here, miss. And she's like, I know she planned it, but I don't know how he's standing right next to me, so it can't have been him, but I know it was him. And that was what it was. So a show like this just made me excited because it reminded me of being like back home with friends when I was skateboarding or when I was rollerblading or playing hockey on rollerblades. just the group of friends that we had that would cause mischief and mayhem and just do things like this. And for some reason, it just always brings me happiness. And I reckon I've seen it.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm about to say it was. I mean, it was funny how obviously towards because they only did 3 seasons, didn't they?
No, they did 5.
Did they do 5? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I think I obviously saw up to season 3 then, and because season 3 is where he gets married to Missy.
No, that's the end of season 5. So they actually had a.
Oh,
they had
I've seen them all then.
Yeah, so they had what they called Unholy Union, which was a series that was set, I think, 2 years or 18 months after Viva La Bam, which was about their wedding. And it was so funny because during that actual series, a whole heap of them used to joke about how these reality weddings always go really well, and they were joking, and Bam's like, we've known each other since we were kids. It's not going to do that.
It still didn't work out.
And it lasted like 12 or 15 months or something. But to be fair, after this ended and after there were a lot of issues around Bam, he did start to obviously come down a little bit and get a little bit into drugs and alcohol. And then unfortunately his best mate, Ryan Dunn, passed away in a car accident.
Yeah.
And yeah, just everything went. So
it was really funny because at the time that I was watching Viva La Bam, I was mainly also watching, and it actually relates to your comfort thing, is Dirty Sanchez. I don't know if you ever caught that.
I caught the movie. That was the weird thing. Because remember we spoke about this the other time, and I was looking for the series and I can't find it anywhere to download, but it was the movie that I watched.
So for anyone who's new and watching, to explain what... You may understand what the very rude context of what a Dirty Sanchez is, but they're basically, at the time that Jackass was a thing, obviously it hit UK shows, it was a very big thing. MTV UK was looking to see if there was something equivalent in the UK, and they basically found a couple of skateboarding guys who were doing this themselves, but they weren't. I mean, originally, I know that MTV got it from CKY, which is Bam's group, who were doing this, but basically they found out that there's a couple of skateboarding guys who were privately doing pranks on each other, and sort of said, do you want to maybe have a show? And of course, they said yes, because why wouldn't they? So it was interesting. But Dirty Sanchez, the one thing I always found about Dirty Sanchez is that, if you were shocked by Jackass,
this was next level.
Mortified by what
So for anyone that hasn't seen it, like Viva La Bam and stuff, obviously he had these big plans of doing things like cutting holes in the floors and putting a fire pole so he could get down the stairs quicker, or he would send his parents away in some beaten up limo with a couple of his mates, and then they would get Tony Hawk and a whole heap of skateboarders and fill the entire house with this. With Dirty Sanchez, it was more like, I'm going to get him back by tattooing my mate's name on my dick, or going to a ladyboys thing. It just seemed to have a more dirtier, more kind of sexual, sexualized overtones with some of the things.
Yeah, it was shocking. What some of the stunts that they did. I mean, the first season was all like random thing. It was kind of like season 1 was very random, and it was like, oh, here's, just getting them, and here's, I think it was like 6 episodes. It was 6 or 8 episodes. It was like, oh, here's the boys. The second one, it was like, oh, here's them doing different jobs, like different things. One of them was the Marines. One of them was the firefighters. One of them was like being tradies for the day.
I remember you telling me all that. Yeah,
and it was really good. And then the third one was them doing their stuff live, but a European tour, and that was, I mean, I remember catching. No, I didn't catch it on that bit. It was when they were doing the movie, they were still doing tours, and then they came to my university. And I said, I'm going to this. And the guys were like, really? Why? And I went, it is going to be sick. And not in the good way kind of sick. You're gonna be like, oh my God. But it's going to be like, yeah, let's go watch it. And of course, it was entirely what I expected. And they were like, the boys were like, seriously, they are messed up. And I went, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
and that's the reason why we're all at university. It's great.
And that was the one thing that I noticed when obviously with Dirty Sanchez, is that I was like, damn, this is like, it's almost like a little bit too full on in regards to some of the things. So I was like, damn, son. But it was different. But yeah, Viva La Bam, they did a lot more silly things. They seemed to, there was a bit different about it. But yeah, I don't know.
Stop
Like,
moving your camera. It's
sorry,
really distracting me.
sorry. I'm just because I wanted to lean back because I'm being lazy.
You can lean back if you want.
I know, but I didn't want my head to be too small, even though my head's already massive. I just kind of went. I'm just sorry.
Your head to be too small. When can your head ever be too small?
Like when if I go,
Have you
if I
seen your head?
yeah, it's pretty bad.
You're like Megamind, but not blue.
God, but yes. So I know, but like yes. So. But
Anyway,
yeah, so
sorry.
Viva La Bam is one of my things. Like, if you ask Megs, one of my old housemates, she will literally tell you that every time she came in, she's like, "Are you watching this again?" And I reckon over that year and a half, I probably watched all 5 seasons, probably about 10 or 12 times. And it's a series that I always go back to. And if I'm sitting on my computer here and then I've got nothing to watch and I'm just like, yeah, I don't really want to watch that, or I don't really want to watch this, I always seem to go back to that. So it is one of those ones that for me is just a series that it just makes me laugh. It just takes me back to my youth and simpler times, I think.
It's funny because the jokes aren't too bad. I mean, yeah, I'm about to say, I always found that the jokes were always nice. It wasn't ever too, like, controversial.
Yeah.
And I always thought that this is nice to watch because it's not like watching Terry Sanchez and going, "Oh my god!" It's like, seriously, this is how we're being portrayed as British people.
I was that hasn't aged well, and it literally came out this week. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I know, but yeah, it shocks me. But yeah, but no, I was actually So when you asked me to think of comfort series, I was like, ooh, because I watch, because I am one of these guys who will watch, even if I watched a movie or a TV show, I'll watch it again and again. I'm that kind of guy. And I was like, right, how do I narrow down all of the series that I watch? Because it's really hard. Because like I enjoy CSI, I enjoy what was it? Not One Foot in the Grave. What's it called? I forgot the goddamn name of it now.
It's not like 6 Foot Under.
Not 6 Foot Under. But the one I came up with that I do enjoy watching as often as I can is Black Books. Now,
Black Books is so good. That was literally one of mine as well. Black Books is with Bill Bailey. And Dylan
Murang. And
the girl whose name I can never remember.
Last year she won a Golden Globe or something like that.
Yeah, she's been in so much. She's actually a really good actress, but I just can't remember her name.
But yeah, so my first one was obviously Black Books. Now, for those of you who have never watched Black Books, please go watch it.
What the bloody hell is wrong with you guys? Like, seriously, get your shit together. Go watch Black Books. It's one of the best British comedies ever.
It's a British comedy. It basically revolves around a guy who owns a bookshop, and he's not a friendly guy. He doesn't like owning a bookshop. Is the basic premise of it.
Yeah.
The first episode's very weird because it obviously has to introduce him, Bill Bailey's character, who's an accountant who doesn't know how to cope with stress.
Yes.
And then the next door neighbor, who also runs her own boutique shop, but it sells random things that she has no idea.
It's one of those. For any men out there that go into homewares and look at things and just be like, "What does this do?" What? And then they tell you, "Oh yeah, it's for spraying oil." You're like, "What?" That's the kind of stuff this store sells. Where it's at one point she walks in with this giant thing that has like a little like, I'm guessing the best way, a spout or like a little nipple or something on the end of it. And she's like, "How much would you pay for this?" And she's like, "What is it?" She's like, "That's not what I'm asking." And then he's like, "You don't know, do you?" And it's like, "No." And it's like, "Oh God."
And then at one point she's listening to it and she can hear clanking inside, and she doesn't know what it is.
It's just so dumb, but it's such a good series.
The entire thing about Black Books is that they have all these different scenarios that happen, and basically it involves mainly around the owner of the bookshop has Manny, who is Bill Bailey, come live with him. He works at the shop, but basically, he's always drunk. And honest to God, I don't know if I can ever watch an episode of Black Books and not either be having a beer or a glass of wine. I think it's you kind of feel forced to join in because you feel unsocial if you're not having a glass of wine.
I think the only reason why I think I've been able to do it is because I worked at bars where people would often drink and I wouldn't. But it is funny because you do go like, "Oh, I'm just going to get a drink or I'll grab something." But it is such a clever series, and I've seen both the guys in their stand up multiple times. I've seen Bill Bailey twice now, and I've seen Dylan Moran I think 3 times, and
Yep.
they're such good comedians. And often, sometimes I find sometimes with comedians, you put them into a series and it's just like for example Seinfeld, and all he is being Seinfeld. Chris Rock, anytime he's in a movie or a TV show, he's just Chris Rock in a movie or a TV show. He does like there's no range. You don't feel like they're anything more than just who they are in the real world. Where with these guys, are able to break it down and actually come across like the characters, and it's hard not to fall in love with them. And still, one of my favourite scenes is when they try to make the wine. They're house sitting, and they unfortunately drink a really expensive bottle of wine, and then they try to remake it based on the encyclopedia of what the overtones is. So it says they need oak, so they go out and grab some oak and put it in, and they're just all these things start happening. It's just ridiculous, and it is just a thing. I know, and then he's got like those massages you put on your neck that it massages your neck. Bill Bailey, who's pretty drunk at this time, just has it and goes, Bernard, 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 I'm a sex robot from the future, and these things are just turning, and it is the most it's just silly, but it's so easy to watch, and it just makes you so happy. And yeah, that was one of my second ones because I've seen that so many times.
Yeah.
I,
I remember. I've looked it up. I know the show I was trying to think of, which was the CSI, and there was Nutrix, which was I don't know if you ever saw Nutrix is how do you describe Nutrix? Basically, it's like a cold case TV show, but they had retired police officers working for them.
oh,
And of course, there's the really smart one. There's the guy who was portrayed that apparently he might have been a dirty cop. Stop moving your camera.
that got really big really quick. I was like, oh
It
damn.
got really big really quick. Stop moving the camera.
It's just because your head's massive on mine, so I'm like, I want a bigger head.
Yeah,
I want
you keep
bigger
moving
head.
the camera. You got to remember that we're recording from both ends, and now you're out of.
Oh,
focus.
seriously? Oh, because I'm doing mine. I look pretty in mine. I'm just saying.
Well, you can look pretty in yours, but you're editing this week, so you can look pretty as much as you want.
Yeah, see?
Now, where was that? Nutrix. So yeah, there's the incredibly smart one who has got rid of the Force because of X, Y, and Z. And there's one who's apparently was a dirty cop but never was, and and then you got the old reliable one whose wife died in the line of service and blah blah blah. So there's lots of
backstories.
and then of course they have a young, she's the middle-aged woman who initially runs it, and it's sort of like her career's not going anywhere, and of course they give her this promotion. She thinks it's a promotion, and it's not. And so it's a really interesting show to watch, and I've watched that a few times, as well as Doc Martin is another one with
What does
George.
that ring bell?
Doc Martin he's a high flying surgeon who
yes,
phobia,
yes.
and he ends up moving to the middle of Cornwall to become a GP, and of course he has to deal with country life.
Yeah.
Because of course everybody knows your business and all this jazz, and of course he's a very private person. So Doc Martin is another one of mine. But I mean, to be fair, most of my comfort shows, especially here, are going to be British shows.
Yeah, because it just reminds you of home.
Yeah,
because one of my other ones that I wasn't sure whether I was going to bring up, again British, was Red Dwarf as well. That's another one that I watch many times over and stuff. So yeah, but yeah, it's weird. Like I don't know. I don't know if it's like sometimes you're just going through something, or sometimes you just like It's almost like I just want to see old friends, or it's almost like I don't know what it is. It's just these comfort movies, and everyone has them. Like one of my comfort movies goes back to, I think I was about 8 or 9. I slept over at Paul and Nick's house, Paul and Nick Houlihan, which are the twins that I grew up with, and went all through high school, still friends to this day. My mum was friends with her mum. Paul and Nick had a sister that was the same age as my sister. So the families go way back. And I remember once, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we watched this film. And I don't know what it was about it, but it just blew my mind. And ever since then, I watch it about 3 or 4 times a year. So the film came out in 1991. So yeah, so I would have been maybe 10 actually. So I would have been 9 or 10 at the time. And
6. All right.
yeah. and it has
I'm not,
Bruce. It has
probably
Bruce.
5 actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say it has Bruce Willis, Danny Aiello, Andy McDowell in it, and James Coburn, to name some of the big ones. And it's a little film that's kind of a comedy, kind of a
Oh no, it's not that.
musical. It's Hudson Hawk.
What?
Have you never seen this? So it's like kind of like an
No.
action comedy. So the first scene is Hudson Hawk, which is played by Bruce Willis, getting out and being picked up by Danny Aiello. It's kind of this funny kind of like buddy. When you first get it, you kind of go, it feels like it's like almost like this kind of like funny buddy cop thing. But the problem is that he's just come out of prison. So you find out later that they're actually a bunch of cat burglars. And
Okay.
Bruce Willis has this obsession with cappuccinos. So it's kind of got this, and because in 91, cappuccinos and that kind of thing was coming out. So so it's pretty much him with his...
Not to date us at all. But
No, yeah, exactly. Not to date this at all, but yeah. So Tommy is his best friend, which is played by Danny Aiello, and they actually own a bar. So they own this like dodgy, sketchy little bar. And since he's been in prison for robbing something and being caught, the bar ends up turning into one of those fancy like wine bars, and it's worth quite a bit. But Tommy obviously has a job for him to steal this horse, so they do it. But the whole time they do this kind of cat burglar thing, they'll be like, oh, how long have we got before, like, say, for example, the cameras kick in or the lasers or whatever, or the guards go around, and they're like, about 4.5 minutes. He's like, 4:32, Swinging on a Star. So then what they do is they actually will sing Bing Crosby's Swinging on a Star, so that while they're doing it, it's how they keep time. So they've got that. They sing like Side by Side. And it's actually written by Bruce Willis, or he co-writes it, plus also came up with the theme. And then they steal this horse, and then they actually end up getting picked up by the FBI, who end up being these... is it FBI? I think it's FBI. It's either FBI or CIA, sorry. And it's like they're like these sketchy kind of CIA that are all named after American candy bars. That's their code names.
Like
and then you find out later that part of the horse and the things that they're stealing actually have these small pieces in it. And these small pieces go together to actually form I'm not going to say it in Italian because I'll mess it up, but Leonardo da Vinci's machine to turn lead into gold. So the whole idea is that these crystals, what they do is when you put them into this machine and they come together to look like almost like this star, the light reflects on them, reflects on other things, and then turns lead into gold. Because for those people that don't know, lead and gold, there's only one element different on the periodic table. So they actually are quite similar.
Yes.
So the rumor was that Leonardo da Vinci had found a way to convert lead to gold. So it's these masterminds that are kind of... these weird masterminds that are trying to turn this lead into gold, and it just makes me so happy. And I don't know why. I remember watching it then. The baddie, they're called the Mayflowers, and it's got Richard E. Grant as this very eccentric, kind of over-the-top kind of baddie with his wife, what's her name? Oh, I had it here. Minerva, that's played by Sandra Burkhart. Yeah, and it's played by this woman, Sandra Burkhart. You'd know her when you see her, but she has these very unusual kind of look about her. And she's just got almost like this elastic feel, and they're also very over the top and stuff. And it is just this movie that kind of starts off as what looks like it's just going to be like a cat burglar kind of thing, to this thing where the Vatican gets involved. So you've got like the Vatican Secret Service, it's played by Andy McDowell. You've got the CIA. You've got these rich billionaires that are trying to turn lead into gold. You've got Danny Aiello and Bruce Willis that are singing songs while pretty much running out these cat burglars. It is ridiculous, and I'm pretty sure it was, when it first came out, it was absolutely panned. And for some reason, I don't know why, I don't know what it is about this film, but it just really does just tickle my fancy. And it's just this film that I keep going back to, and I reckon I watch it maybe twice or three times a year. And I don't know why, but it just makes me happy.
Oh, I'll have to.
It's ridiculous.
I'm literally looking through her IMDb because I'm like, I have no idea who this person is. She has done so much TV work.
Yeah, she has. Okay, so I've just found...
films wise, she hasn't done huge amount of
No,
film.
but she's always plays this character, and she's a bit more eccentric and stuff. And I've just found here, so the budget was an estimated $65 million. Opening weekend, it took 7 million.
Wow.
In America, its total gross in America and Canada, because it was only released in America and Canada, was 17.2 million. So it actually technically lost $50 million on this film. And yet, for some reason, it brings me so much happiness, and it does kind of have this cult feel to it. So you tell people that have seen this, that know it, I guarantee they've seen it like 30 times. It's just this ridiculously fun movie that's just, I don't know why. Like, I love it.
I'll put it on the list then. It needs to go on the list. This list is getting a mile long
Yeah.
at this point of movies that I still need to watch.
Yeah, he goes, I've still got the Care Bears movie from 1987. I've still got
that. I grew up on that. In fact, funnily enough, getting to my comfort movies is involved in that era, which is my comfort movie that I will say, and it's possibly my favorite movie of all time.
Oh God. Please be good so I don't have to shit on it.
The original Transformers Generation 1 movie.
Yes. I told you about that. I got that from HMV for like, I think it was £2 or 99p, and I'm like, that was the best buy ever. And I'm pretty sure if I go to my storage unit, I've still got it somewhere.
I have it on. I've got it on my original. I've got original on DVD, as well as my sister on my 21st birthday bought me the anniversary edition that came out that year.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is exactly the same movie. In fact, this is the one movie that I could probably quote from start to finish.
Oh,
Literally,
wow.
all it has to do is start playing, and I could probably do the entire thing from start to finish.
Damn, son.
And all I have to do is hear the music prompts as it goes, because literally you can hear it, and he's like, but oh my God, the entire fight scene with Optimus Prime and Megatron. I mean, that was. I mean, I actually remember the first time I watched it because I was watching the original cartoon show on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
And I used to get annoyed when they used to skip an episode and then they'd play it the next week. I was like, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Because I used to get really annoyed as a child. I
That's the weirdest thing, because I can't remember where I've got the series, and I got it in a really weird way. So Mad Men.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. So I think I already know what you're gonna say.
So Mad Men had a like, they were leaving from one building to another building here in Melbourne, and somebody told me that they had like a sale going where they were just trying to get rid of a whole heap of old stock. And I was like, okay, so I went along to see if there's a few things there that I wanted. Plus, a friend of mine also said, can you look for this anime? And there was this adorable redhead there that I was walking around, and I noticed her a couple of times, and she worked there, and I was like, she's adorable. And then she's like, oh, are you looking for anything? And I'm like, there's just crap everywhere. And I was like, oh, I was just seeing what else they had because a friend of mine wanted this. So I was more getting that for him and seeing if I wanted anything. And I had, the only thing I had for me was the Transformers box set. And she's like, oh, that's all right. I'll change the price on that. And she wrote a thing and put a price on it for $5. And I'm like, what? So I had all these things, and she came up and changed the price. And then when I was leaving, I tried to get her attention because I was going to say I'm going to go. And then she got called away by somebody else. And I'm like, I think I just lost my future wife. She likes Transformers. I'm like, oh, that's it. It's over. So if you're the adorable redhead from Mad Men and you're listening to this, call me. Call me now. Yeah.
DM us. We've got social media. You DM us, we'll get you linked all the way through.
Hell's yes.
I mean, God forbid. Oh man, yeah. I mean, I mean, yeah. The one thing I found hilarious about when you bought the original box set is that disc 2 was the beginning, which is more than meets the eye and all that.
Yeah.
Jazz. Whereas disc 1 is like half of season. It's
the weirdest thing.
It's like, who put this together? All I want to know is, right, cause especially as a quality guy, I work in quality and all this jazz. Which idiot was in charge of producing this box set and saying, "Oh yeah, this is the second disc"? Did nobody check this work?
Yeah, I know.
God, it really wound me up because I ordered it. I remember it because I've got my box set from the UK. I've still got it, and I remember getting it, and I was like, okay, so I'll put in disc 1. Yes, let's go. And I'm like, this isn't episode 1. hang on, this is like halfway through the first season. What the hell is this?
Yeah,
And then I thought, hang on, or maybe they're slightly out of order. And then I had a look at the rest of the episode list. I'm like, where's More Than Meets the Eye? That's the first 3 episodes. Where the hell is More Than Meets the Eye?
yep.
And then realized, had a look on the second disc, the back of the second disc, and it's like, oh, More Than Meets the Eye episodes 1, 2, 3. I'm like, what's your disc 2?
Yeah, it's out of order. It's the weirdest thing.
It is so weird. But it's hilarious how literally. So once you go through the first 3 discs, which is the entire of season, season 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You get through all the 3 discs, then you have the movie in chronological order. Then you have the movie, and then seasons 3 and 4 and 5 are all in sequential order after that.
Yeah.
Apart from when Bumblebee somehow becomes Goldbug. And nobody ever explains that.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing. Where it's just like I'm like it's not like he just got a new haircut. Like he went from being like ugly Kim Kardashian to Kim Kardashian now, where she's like completely plastic, and nobody's like, no, she definitely hasn't had anything done. I'm like, what?
It's best bit. He's like, hey, Optimus, it's me. It's Bumblebee. You won't recognize me now because I'm now Goldbug. He's like, he won't recognize you. Hang on, what point? At what point did this happen?
I remember going back when that first came out and watching the previous episode going, I must have missed something in the episode and then nothing. And then I Googled it and it's just like, no, literally it just randomly happens. And everybody just happens to know who he is and everything about him. And you're like...
Yeah, it retcons because I think they lost the rights to, or they had to start paying... Yes, wife, I see you. Or they had to start paying Volkswagen because obviously Bumblebee was a Volkswagen bug, and they were gonna have to start paying them, and of course they're like, no. So they changed him up entirely, so he's no longer a Volkswagen bug, and of course, like, let's just pretend that this happened, and he's like, but of course I think everyone had the collective like, hang on a minute. Yeah. I thought I missed an episode and everyone collectively freaked out, went back a few, and then come back. No, saw that one. Okay, at what point has this occurred? And of course, it's in the comics. Because we all had access to the Marvel
that what it was.
Transformer comics. And all this jazz. I don't know exactly what happened, but anyway. But yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, it cracks me up. But yeah, so I have to say that it's possible. It's my favorite movie of all time. Well, one of my favorite movies of all time. The other one, which I've watched repeatedly, which my wife laughs at me for, is Space Jam, the original with Michael
That was such a good film when it first came out. I just remember that being
amazing.
That just changed up everything. Where it brought in obviously the Hanna-Barbera. Is it Hanna-Barbera characters? Yes. No, the Disney Looney Tunes characters. Yeah. And then it was able to mix in New World stuff, but make it in a way that just worked. And it just changed up everything. Like that had only been done before with Roger Rabbit. And then I think that then there was that. And it was just different. Like it had this maturity to it. And I think a film like that did kind of change the way kids' films went. Because they went, we don't have to go super kiddie for it. We can add some adult themes and stuff. Kids aren't going to get it. But at least the parents that have taken the poor kids to the thing aren't going to do it. But I reckon 9 times out of 10, I would go to see Space Jam. I think I saw Space Jam in the movie 3 times. And I reckon that 9 times out of 10, there were more adults than kids. Or more kids like my age, like teenage, like late teens and stuff.
What's really funny is that, of course, my neighbour has 2 teenage boys. Okay, one of them's a very avid basketball player. And, of course, the new one came out.
With LeBron,
LeBron James. With LeBron in it. And
let's not get started, but like, I get LeBron. LeBron is good. LeBron has scored. LeBron will probably go down as one of the top 5 best. Still not better than Jordan.
No, he's still not better than Jordan. Now, of course, I went to watch it at the cinema. We went as a family, and did I enjoy the movie? Yes. Was it as good? Hell no. Because I am loyal to the Toon Squad. I am loyal to the original Toon Squad. It was an amazing movie. However, my neighbour's son has the audacity in my own house, let alone while we're having a barbecue one time, says, I have to say that Space Jam: The New Legacy is so much better than the original.
Yeah, that's when you just go, no.
On
He's
honestly,
like, I'm out.
I,
Screw
I
you
said, I
all.
said, I said, I actually looked him dead in the eye. I said, "It's good to know that you want to leave my house immediately."
Yeah.
And his dad was like, "I told you he was going to say something because you already know how much he likes the movie."
But I mean, I just remember that film being great. But yeah, I haven't. To be fair, it's not one that I rewatched. The other one that I kind of rewatch occasionally is Demolition Man. Sylvester Stallone and Wesley
Oh,
Snipes. I go back to
oh,
that
yes,
with Sandra
yes.
Bullock, and I don't know why.
Hmm.
And it's not one of those
Hmm.
films. Like I feel like, unlike like obviously these TV series in Hudson Hawk where I watch Thingo, I feel like every now and again something reminds me of it, or I see something, and then I'm like, I haven't seen that in a while, and I'll watch it. And I don't know what it is. I think it must be on some of these sites that I use to legally download films, where
Yes, of
randomly it
course.
just pops up, and I'm like, damn, I haven't seen that in a while. But that one's one that I'm kind of is on the cusp where I might watch it maybe once every 2 years,
Yeah, yeah.
where it just
To
kind
be,
of thingo, where it just
yeah,
pops up.
no, I do enjoy Demolition Man. It's a really good old movie. I mean, but it's like funnily enough, I was talking to Ellie the other day because of course I've got a friend coming from the UK in a couple of weeks, and of course I've booked a trip to Hobbiton, which
Bastard,
is
bastard.
I know
I want
your
to,
time is coming, sir. Your
I want
time
to
is
go so
coming.
bad.
For those of you who don't know, Hobbiton is basically he's basically is
If you don't
the
know what Hobbiton
actual.
is, I don't even know why you're watching because we are so nerdy that you'd have to have some kind of nerdy element in you to know what Hobbiton
Look,
is.
some people might not know, so we need to explain what Hobbiton is. Now, Hobbiton is basically when they were filming Lord of the Rings and they created the Shire, it's Hobbiton, aka Hobbiton. Basically, they found this place in New Zealand where it was rolling hills and blah blah blah. And in the original movies, they filmed all the scenes of the Hobbit there because they did it in one go. And basically, it was this farmer who owned the land. They paid him, blah blah blah, X, Y, and Z. And of course, he ended up taking his friends there, saying, "Oh my god, look there, they filmed this here and all this jazz." And basically, there was a big thing with the farmer and his buddies got into his head saying, "Oh, you should next if they ever do it again, get them to build it permanently so you can make it like a tourist attraction
Mm.
because it would be quite big." And of course, the first movie came out in and so suddenly realized there was this demand to know because if people were visiting New Zealand, they weren't to come to the places things were filmed.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a stupid man. He realized when they got round to filming the Hobbit movies, which controversial. I'm not a huge fan of the Hobbit movies. I prefer the Lord of the Rings trilogy over the Hobbit trilogy.
I like the Hobbit film, but yes, I think you're right in saying that it's
Uh,
not the
it
same.
felt.
It's
I
definitely
think
not in the same
it could have
vein.
been two movies rather than three. I think that would be the way to solve it. If it was two movies instead of three, it would have worked. But by the by, basically what happened was when they obviously came back to the farm and said, "Look, we need to do some more filming and all this jazz," said, "Right, I will do it on. You can have this location on this condition. This time you're going to build the place out of permanent materials because, of course, they built it out as semi-permanent, and of course, it was all collapsed and blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah." And basically, he cut a deal with them and said, "Look, you can use the location. You can even have the exact same place, but I want it built permanently because I want to make it into a tourist attraction." Whatever the deals and negotiation happened, blah blah blah, shaky hands. But basically, Hobbiton is now there. You can now visit it, and it's an amazing place to visit.
Yeah,
Especially,
because I know they did originally do it, but
yeah,
because it wasn't made permanent,
yeah,
they only said we'll do it for 12 months because after
yeah,
12 months, chances are it's probably going to die, and
yes,
then
and that's
they've
what happened.
redone it.
And it does, and the New Zealand weather and everything else wrecked it, and blah blah blah. And it's like, oh, it was once there, but it's hard to imagine what was once there. As you do.
Hmm.
So the fact is that so Hobbiton's out, but basically I've got a friend who's coming to, and of course I've booked Hobbiton. And the one thing I was actually realized, I was like, actually, you know what? I haven't watched the original Lord of the Rings trilogy at all in like the last
Oh, I thought you meant at
two
all.
or
I was
three
like,
years. Because of course, when we were flying when we moved over, of course I was on Air New Zealand. We had a 12-hour flight, and it's amazing that they give you the entire trilogy to watch. I'm like, well, this is me done for 9 hours.
that'd be
All packed.
sick.
That's a great way to pass a 12-hour flight when you've got 9 hours worth of movies back to back to
Yeah, I
watch.
know.
It's great. It's a great way to cruise through a 12-hour flight. So I ended up doing that, watching, and then I realized I was like, actually, I've not watched it since landing, and I'm like, okay. And I said to her, I said, I want to watch it with Ed, and of course, she went, no. I went, why? He went, he's too young. I went, he's he's nearly 9. And she's like, no, 10. The amount of gore and graphic violence that
Oh,
occurs,
yeah, I guess
10.
you're right,
And I'm
yeah.
like, nothing wrong with it in my day. You know,
Yeah.
suddenly the 80s comes out in me, and I'm like, well, I grew up watching. I remember watching the cartoon version, which was one film, and that was terrifying.
Yes, and yes, I may have wet the bed several times after
Yes,
watching it, but I push through. You're like, that's not good.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, God forbid, we're talking about movies from our childhoods that scares the crap out of me, and I mean, the original It, I still freak out and turn it off on the original.
You know which one
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but I know it got my brother, but it was Ernest. Oh, there was like a horror. You know, remember Ernest Goes to Camp? That really weird dude. There was a horror version of it, like Ernest Saves Halloween or something like that, and it was like a horror one. And I remember watching it, and even I remember watching it at the time. I'm like, this ain't the same, bro. This is weird. But yeah, I remember it scaring the bejesus out of my brother. Like I was like, oh god. But no, but
yeah, definitely.
For everybody that is watching, do us a favor. Comment below or text us and let us know what your comfort movies or comfort TV series are. Because I'd actually be interested. Because though Jordan and I have similar series because we have those likes, I'm interested about movies because movies are very different. They're an hour and a half of just like do it. So just do me a favor, guys. If you are listening, if you are watching, put a movie that you either watch once a year, once every couple of years, or something that is your comfort movie.
Definitely.
Because I'd be hella interested.
Yeah, I think that'd be definitely interesting in seeing what people come up with. I think for that. But yeah. But anyway, I think what we're gonna have to do, ladies and gentlemen, I've just realised the time. I'm also being flagged by my beautiful wife. That
she's like,
I'm on a clock today. I'm on a clock today, so she is like,
bitch now.
We are going. We will leave you. So we're gonna have to wrap things up, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say a big thank you to all our recent followers and subscribers and everything else. Obviously, you can find us available on all good podcasting applications, as well as seeing our beautiful faces on YouTube,
as well as some of the bad ones. I'm sure we're on some of the bad ones. No,
we probably are available on all the bad ones as well. You never know. But we want to make sure that if you can, like, follow, share, do what you can, help us in all the algorithms is always helpful. You'll also notice that, as we said in our last episode, new episodes are going to be available every Tuesday. And, of course, we are now doing shorts and clips available on our TikTok as well as our YouTube channel. And you can find us by typing in Dorks Down Under, and you will find us
that's how the internet works. You just type it in and a wizard just goes,
type it in.
You're a wizard, Harry. And it's like, ta-da.
No, it's the little mice that live in your computer that go find that information.
I wanted it to be Dobby. Where he's like, Master has asked a question, Dobby will go. He runs off and he goes the answer.
But Dobby is a free elf.
You know, I just wanted him to get like super like just like ghetto, where he's just like, man, I gotta suck now, and then walks off, and I'm like, yes, go Dobby.
But anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in for this episode of Dogs Down Under, episode 11. We will be back with episode 12 very soon. Catch you later. Peace.
Laters. Okay, should I press record? No, I'm kidding.